All right, we're going to talk a little bit deeper into the specific parts of a dental implant, specifically the platform, and how we choose the proper healing abutment, and then how we choose a proper impression coping. So the implant system that I'm going to go over is the NobelActive implant system. So let's just go and review just basically what a dental implant is. It's just a titanium screw that goes down underneath the gums and down in the bone. And now on top of that, as we have talked about earlier, is the final abutment. This is the final abutment. Now before we put the final abutment on, when I place the actual implant in that area, it's going to look something like this. So you can see that the implant is completely underneath the gums. So you can see over here that the gums are covering up where the implant is. So over here at the time of surgery, I can either place the cover screw. The cover screw will go right into this area and it will not protrude out through the gums. However, in some cases, when the implant goes in strong enough, I want to put in a healing abutment which will protrude out through the gums, so I can do a one-stage surgery. So how do I choose which healing abutment to place, either at the time of implant placement or after about 4 months that the implant is actually healed? So in the NobelActive system, you've got two types of platforms. You've got more, but two that are generally used. That is the narrow platform and the regular platform. The 3.5 millimeter NobelActive implant is going to always be a narrow platform. The 4.3 diameter NobelActive implant is always going to be a regular platform. The narrow platform is always pink. The regular platform is always yellow. So that's how you distinguish the two, just based on color, and you don't even have to look at what the diameter or the platform type is. So now when I'm trying to choose the proper healing abutment for a implant, first thing I have to look at is the platform. The platform has to be right. It has to be in sync with the type of implant that we're placing in. So if I put in a 3.5 millimeter by 10 millimeter implant, I have to use a narrow platform healing abutment. If I place in a 4.3 by 15 millimeter implant, I have to place a regular platform healing abutment. The height of the implant, the length of that implant, makes no difference. The only part, which is the platform that we're talking about, and the platform is this part of the actual implant itself. This little connecting part, top part of the implant. That is the platform. The platform is either going to be a narrow platform or it's going to be a regular platform. So now, the first thing, like I said, that you have to pick out for a healing abutment is the platform. So say I put in a 4.3 millimeter implant over here. So we know that's a regular platform. I have to use a yellow or a regular platform healing abutment. So over here I've got 3 different types of regular platform healing abutments. They all are exactly the same diameter in terms of the connection to the implant. However, they differ in their heights. So we've got a 3 millimeter, a 5 millimeter, and a 7 millimeter height on that abutment. And you should be able to, just by looking at the abutment, and these are all the actual abutments right here, you should be able to tell exactly what type of abutment it is. You should be able to tell what type of platform it is, what the diameter or the width of that healing abutment is, as well as what is the height of that healing abutment. So those are 3 things that just by looking at them, you should be able to tell me what type it is. Because I might ask for, give me a regular platform, 5 millimeter wide, 5 millimeter height healing abutment, and you should be able to pick that out. So that's something you have to be able to study and memorize. Now these are all regular platforms. The regular platforms come in two different diameters, either a 3.6 diameter or a 5 millimeter diameter. Let me show you what the difference is between the two. So here is a regular platform, 5 millimeter diameter healing abutment, and this is a 3.6 millimeter diameter healing abutment. You can see how they differ in how wide they are. And so that's again something that you have to be able to distinguish just based on how they look. Now, why may I use a narrow one in some cases and a wider one in other cases? Well, take for example a molar tooth. I'm putting an implant in, and a molar tooth is obviously a very wide tooth. So I want to try to put a wider healing abutment in that location. But I might also want to put a wider healing abutment in a front tooth. My whole goal when putting the healing abutment in is to spread the tissue out, so that when the general dentist gets the patient and they remove that healing abutment, they can very easily put in that impression coping. The more room I give them, the easier it will be for them to be able to place in that impression coping and take an impression. Now, if I use a narrow one, I would use a narrow healing abutment in places where I just did not have enough room, so a lower anterior. A lower anterior, I might only have about 4 millimeters of space between the two teeth. And in that case, the wide healing abutment, the 5 millimeter diameter healing abutment won't even fit. So that's where I might use a narrower one. But whenever I have a chance to use a wider healing abutment, I always do, because it makes the life of the restorative dentist, the general dentist, much easier. So that is for the regular platform. Now the same thing applies to the narrow platform. The narrow platform also come in varying heights as well as varying diameters. Here you can see two different 5 millimeter diameter height narrow platform healing abutments. So right here is a 7 millimeter height abutment, and here is a 3 millimeter height healing abutment. And then one in the middle would be 5 millimeter height healing abutment. So again, you have to be able to visually look at these and know exactly what they are based on how they look.